My name is Lucas Prifti, access code GX6112, and today I'm going to be going over exercise 4 for our database class. First things first, just want to let you know I have set up the Java Home, Catalina Home, Eclipse is installed, configured. Same thing with MySQL. Just a little here to show it. This is my table on MySQL here. Okay. So first off, I want to talk about the graph that we had here, the architecture of this exercise. Right here we have our client station, which connects to the web browser, and then this is going to be our web server, which connects to the database afterwards. So the Eclipse application is one of the libraries that we have here to run and compile the program. That's what we're going to be using on this exercise 2. And then in the web server here, we have our Apache Tomcat and our servlets in JSP. This is our web container, and both of these are going to help us to connect to the database and retrieve the information from it as well, which will be retrieved by both of these, and then it will be sent to our client station and the web browser as well with our SQL connection. Right here we have our database, which we have our data stored, and it's on MySQL. It's going to be pulled from here and then onto our web browser. So I just briefly want to go over the application here, the diagram that we have for it. Here we have our JSP pages, list, insert people, people list, and the edit people form. Our client machine is going to access these. It's going to request a capture action of these. And then from our JSP pages, they're going to go here to our web container and servlets, which were our Apache and the servlets. It's going to grab to Apache for the JSP translator, which will use the web.xml. And then Java control servlet codes is going to run that, which will compile the server class, which is our people DAO Java. And then after that, we will have the information from the database, which will be connected, and list all people, update, connector, which uses to make the connection with the JDBC here. And from here we can do our insert, delete. Here we can list people, update, and get people. So then this is going to go to the JRE, which will request the dispatcher, and it will give the response right back to our client machine. This will redirect to the JSP page in order to display the results that we have. Okay, so before I go over the code here, I want to go ahead and run our app in the Eclipse. Just gotta open that up here first. Okay. So, gonna go to the Java resources just to make sure this is running correctly. Content people list JSP. Gonna go ahead and run on the server. Okay, and then in order to list all people, here we see the list of the people. And basically what happened here was on these two diagrams. So from the client machine, JSP pages, which will go to the web container and servlets, which will grab the information from the database, and then it will redirect it right back to our client machine here. Okay. So next off, I want to explain the code here. Let me go to control servlet. So people.jsp, basically, this is creating the table that we saw there. Our table is created from the database, but this will be the file to retrieve it and put it on our web browser. And here we're importing all our Java commands at first. And the prefix that we're using is the Java Sun core. So, first off, here we have the creation of the home page. This is the command to add new people. Which is linked to the new. And then this is our command to list all the people, which is connected to our list command here. These right here are just aligning it and giving it the font that it has, increasing the text and whatnot. Then this is going to be our list here, and the table, which will first start off with the ID, name, address, status, and then the actions of them. Then we go down here to people. This, as we can see, is items list people. So basically, we are taking these people from the list in our student table from the TestDB database. Okay. So going to list JSP here, this is our command that will list all of the contents of the table. As we can see, it's connected to our HTML and has the name, email, and here's the print for the user table, and it'll give the name and an address here. Also, I want to go see right here our control servlet.java. So this servlet, basically it's a page controller for the application. So this right here is what's going to be handling the requests from the user, and then it's going to give the responses as well. First off, we import our Java package here. Let's just expand that to C. And we have all our commands for the SQL servlet and utils as well. So, first thing here, it's going to give the servlet request and then a servlet response. And this will print to know that it has started and it has finished as well, as we can see down here. When it starts, do get, and then list people also starts. And then we have list people finished, and then do get finished as well, which means these ran through correctly, they printed out, and that's how we got our list over here. And here we have the actions to edit and delete too. Here we have a switch action. Basically, this is giving our actions for the table right here, which is to add a new, insert. Here we can delete from the table, edit and update as well. We have a break right here just in case if we don't have any action, it will just prompt the user until I'm not sure which action. It will treat it as the list. So it's just basically setting a default that if a incorrect action has been set, it will just go ahead and treat it as the list action. So there are no errors there. Here we also have the print for the do get finished once this whole action has been ran through. And then here we have our list people. This will also be the command to list the people that we have in our testDB student table. As we can see, it'll grab it from people DAO here, which is the control servlet. And that'll go through, request right here, and then it'll give the response too. Once it is finished, without any errors, it'll give us the list people finished here. This command right here is going to be to insert a new person. And here we have the feedbacks, and this will get the request, which will then use the insert people form.jsp. That will allow us to insert new people to the table. And we have this right here to present an update form to update an existing student. So basically, this is for grabbing a student that is already present in the table and changing any of their attributes. Here we have the ID, people, and then request response. First of all, it'll get the ID from them, and it'll use the edit people form in order to make that happen. And here we can see people, existing people, which means it's going to be from people that are already on that table. And here we have the feedback too, and it'll show 111 once that is finished. After the data of a people are inserted, this method will call to insert new people into the database. So basically, after people have already been inserted, once we want to put something new, we will do a request, and we will get each parameter, and that's where we print them out. Basically, after we enter the attributes of the new student that we're going to add, it's going to be printed out back to the table, and it's going to be under a new people, and then it will just ask the browser to call the list action next automatically. So that'll prompt the user to finish with it, and then it'll print them out. Same thing we have here with the update people. It will get the parameters. Basically, it's the function to get all of them and update the one that we want to. And this is for delete as well. This is basically just a deletion, the function how to delete one of the peoples from the table. It'll just grab the ID, and then it'll go ahead and delete the whole person that is on there. And then let's go to people DAO Java. So basically, this is going to implement the class connect. So this is what's going to connect us to our browser here. After receiving all of the functions, this is going to connect. Here we have our connection function. And I have used the public key retrieval. I've also used the time zone shift because it does give me that error with that. And then here we have class public list, throws all people. What this is going to do, it's going to allow us to select from the table and modify any of them. And this is what's going to put it also on the browser after we modify everything. We have the results set. It's going to get the integer for the ID, name, strings for the name, address, and status. And then for the new people, it also shows an entry for an ID, name, address, and a status. And then we're going to close that result set and disconnect to that. This will throw our SQL exception here, make sure there is a connection with no errors. And then here we have a Boolean statement for people. Basically, this is what's going to prompt the user to insert the values into the student. And here's where it sets the string for the name, address, and the status. Then we execute that update. And here's where we insert a new row for a new student, which will be put into that new row. Here we have our Boolean delete. This is basically the same thing, which is connecting to our prepare statement. Basically, it'll delete the person right here, but then it'll also delete the row from the table, so we don't have that empty row. And here we have our update. In order to update a person, it'll see their name here, which is set, address, status, and it'll give them those question marks, which will allow us to input a new value to update them. And then here we have our set string for the name, address, status, and then we have our integer in case we want to change our ID. And this is the prepared statement to execute the updated row, which will then print it onto the table. And then here we have our get people. This will throw the SQL exception. And basically, this will connect the function as well. And if one of these names is off, it'll close the result set, then close the statement, and it will return people, the new one that we've added. And that is pretty much it. Thank you very much, and have a good night.